There is a man drowning in a river, and he's yelling, "Help, help, help!" Another man on the river shore hears him and says to himself, "I've got to go and save this man from drowning." So he swims out to the middle of the river for about 15 minutes, and finally he grabs the man, takes him back safely to the shore, and saves his life. A couple minutes later, two people are drowning in the river, yelling, "Help, help, help!" And the same man, who is now exhausted, says to himself, "I've got to save their lives as well." It takes him about 20 minutes this time, and he grabs both of them and takes them back safely to the river shore and saves their life. A couple minutes later, three people are drowning in the river, yelling, "Help, help!" And the same man, who is now completely exhausted and burnt out, says to himself, "I got to go save their lives as well. I can't stay here." So he swims back out, and then 10 minutes before getting to the drowning people, he drowns. The moral of the story is, had the man looked upstream and eliminated the man throwing people into the river, he could have taken care of the source of the problem instead of dealing with the symptom. This course will help prevent you from drowning in the river of life. Hello, my name is Tom Ventimiglia, and I am delighted to present to you this course, Quest for the Empowered Self. So many people have very little life skills to get them by, or they may have no purpose, no goals, or no coping mechanisms. This course will help you to go straight to the source of your heart, your inner strength, so you can live, thrive, and produce like never before. So many people are creating the symptoms in their life, like feeling stressed out, feeling depressed, feeling low self-esteem, meaninglessness, that they really go to the source of their problem like the man in the river. Many people are treading water in the river of mediocrity. They get up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, go to sleep, get up, eat breakfast, go to work. There's no zest, no direction, no passion for life. They are literally stuck in a routine and unhappy. There are three kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who don't know what the hell just happened. By taking this course, you're making an attempt to make things happen for you. Most people don't do anything about their loss of direction. They kind of get stuck in a rut, and it's because most people don't know who they are, where they're going, why they're going there, and how to get there. They're hoping something magical will happen that will tell them how to make big decisions in life, like what to major in, who they should marry, and so on. They don't know what their strengths and weaknesses are, or their values, or how they stand politically on the left, the center, or the right. Social issues are often confusing, aren't they? Are they against capital punishment or for it? Are they pro-choice, pro-life, or prophylactic? It's hard to figure out. Are you for sex before marriage? Affirmative action? Legalizing marijuana? Belief in God? Are you clear on what the role of a man or woman should be? Whether you should have children or a full-time career, or both? Most don't know why they shouldn't perform an illegal act for a promotion. These decisions, combined with the stresses of life, can be overwhelming for most. And is it any wonder? I mean, people living in Western society are currently experiencing more stress than they have in any previous time in history. While it can be argued that humans have always had to deal with stressful societal conditions like wars and famines and plagues and so on, there are two reasons I believe prove this case. First, our social order and environment have changed more in the last 40 years than in the last 400 years. The increased pace of modern society and the technological change of computers, cell phones, the internet, and constant stimulations have deprived people of adequate time to adjust to these changes. Second, to make it worse, Today more than ever, there's a lack of consistent set of values and standards that were traditionally received through religion or society that has left people feeling confused, empty, and left to fend for themselves. Faced with a barrage of inconsistent worldviews and values presented by the media, like television, the movies, commercials, and pop music, people are really having to learn to cope with the responsibility of creating their own meaning and their own moral code. Watching the news makes you want to take X-Lax, Advil, and Maalox simultaneously. It's truly a proctologist view of society, and in my view, bad for the mind. All of this makes it very hard to establish one's identity and develop a sense of stability or consistency in one's life. As a result, depression, anxiety disorders, addictive behaviors, and disease, they stay on the rise. In the movie Good Will Hunting, Will was stuck in his life going nowhere until he chooses to look within with the help of a professional to advance his life forward. He was able to overcome his personal limitations by looking within. This material will be like bringing a microscope or a spotlight to your past thoughts and behaviors so you can liberate your mind and live like you want to live without so many limitations. Examples of these limitations are illustrated in the Sea of Success picture. The sailboat represents our thinking mind, with the 8 areas of the empowered self, like self-identity, self-understanding, self-observation, and so forth. You are the navigator, and as the navigator, you use your mind and these 8 skills to sail your life toward your own sea of success. You alone define what success is to you along the way. There are mental island traps, notice, that tempt us to become shipwrecked there. Some of us stay on the Isle of Denial because we don't want to confront the pain of problems in our relationships or within ourselves. Some of us stay on the beach of bitterness and blame because we don't want to take responsibility for our attitudes and our lives in general. Some people stay at the harbor of bad feelings and self-defeat when experiencing setbacks or obstacles in life, and they end up quitting, preventing them from achieving success. Some people hang out at Burnout City for a long while because their values aren't congruent with their goals. They may hate their job, but it pays well, and so on. Many end up at the Cape of No Hope after experiencing failures and negative messages from others. Using heart-smart intelligence to give you a good idea of this in something I experienced not long ago. I was asked by the Acoustical Society to play background music at the Temecula Art Gallery. And I thought, background music, no pressure. I hadn't played publicly since the 1980s, and I had 3 weeks to practice, so I said, yes, I'll do it. On the day of the engagement, you won't believe what happened. I walked up to this big room where people were dressed in suits and dresses, sitting down, listening to this tremendous piano player, when I realized that this was not background music. This was a concert! And this guy was like Julian Bream or Van Cliburn, just wheeling up and down the piano keys. And I thought, this guy's a professional, and I am not. So I first said to myself, no problem, no problem. I was in the Isle of Denial. As I listened to his brilliance, and I thought, big problem. Here I am on the beach of bitterness, hoping that he'd make a mistake, and blaming myself for not practicing more. I had about 5 minutes to spare, so I found a quiet room to practice and warmed up. What I needed was a crash course in brilliance, but I was so nervous because my ego knew it was going to be hurt by the end of the day. My self-image would be destroyed when I made the mistakes I knew I was going to make during the performance, while others maybe laughed at me or scorned my reason for being there. I felt like I had boxing gloves on and I could barely play Mary Had a Little Lamb. I was headed for the harbor of bad feelings and self-defeat because I kept messing up during my practice. So I put my head into my hands and I thought, I could tell him I'm sick and then I could go home. I felt tired, felt like I, had arrived at burned out beach, but with no energy left, no focus, and with no belief that I could actually pull this off. I was surely going to stay at the Cape of No Hope. Anyone ever owned a condo at the Cape of No Hope? Then I heard a quiet voice inside of me. You know, that one that we hardly listen to? And it said, sit down, get into your heart, and meditate. And so I thought, why don't I sit down, get into my heart, and meditate actually. And the message I got during my heart meditation was, relax, enjoy. 30 years from now won't make a difference. What they think of me is so much less important than I think of myself. If I do my best and play with my heart, then that's all I really wanted out of the performance in the first place. And who knows, maybe one day it'll make a good story. Then they started to introduce me, and I now felt confident. I felt tall and really balanced and empowered, knowing that my goal was to simply play from my heart, and that would be enough. Suddenly, my ego and self-image were silent until I thought I had to play for 45 minutes with no sheet music. But actually, I played fine. They gave me a standing ovation afterward, and they actually invited me back to their next engagement, so it was a success, luckily. The reason why I tell you that story is I want you to think of a time when you felt pressured to perform. Maybe it was taking an exam or a job interview that you went to. Maybe you had to stand up to the boss. During those times, what do you call on when you need strength? What do you call on when you need courage or inspiration or peace of mind? Do you look inside yourself or outside? We as humans have probed the birth of the universe. We've unraveled the genetic code. We've gone to the moon. We've split the atom and have achieved technological triumphs with blinding brilliance. But I wonder if achieving inner triumphs is just as important. It's funny how we can split the atom and go to the moon when we can't even feed the physical, spiritual, and emotional needs of our own people. It's kind of like giving a crying baby a medical journal to stop crying. The journal's full of great information, but does it really help? The baby needs care, kisses, love. The answers aren't outside in some technological, intellectual area. But doesn't that sound familiar? Remember, God came to Eve and said, Eve, why did you eat of the apple? And she said, the devil made me do it. God came to Adam and said, why did you eat of the apple? He said, he had a great passing the buck reply. He said, well, it was the woman you gave me. And so we've been passing the buck ever since. That wonderful ego of ours hates to be wrong. It's so painful. But the idea is, weren't Adam and Eve seduced out of their inner knowing to look outside themselves to the tree of knowledge for all their life answers? And don't we do the same thing? When we want to know something or solve a problem, don't we look to the tree of experts to get our life answers? This tree of experts out there, who are they? You know, there's the doctors, the scientists, the pop culture heroes, media, parents, therapists, politicians, our friends, our culture, the society, maybe teachers. We may look to the priests or the clergy, our boss at work, maybe Oprah or Dr. Phil. How long have people been telling us what to do? Well, if you think about it, since childhood, their answers have been instilled into us by the use of rewards and punishments, moralizing, slogans, and so on. So as adults, we have become addicted to looking outside. And should we maybe pay more attention to our inner space than to our outer space, as the Dalai Lama says? What prevents us from looking within for our life answers to solve problems? Well, one thing is our need for constant stimulation. We often get into our car, and what do? We turn on the radio. At our lunch break, we usually read some kind of newsprint. We come home, and what do? We turn on the television, and if not the TV, The fastest growing addiction in America? The internet. Then there are preoccupations with sports teams, movies, and on and on. We choose to be distracted. Why? Well, either we're afraid to go inside where there might be some pain to experience, or we may never have learned to trust our inner abilities and have become lazy by being addicted to outside stimulations. These things prevent us from communicating from within. It is hard enough to communicate outside with other people, even more so over the past 10 years with the development of euphemisms. It's become harder to communicate how we feel so we don't hurt others or lose their approval. This language helps us to conceal reality and the truth. Again, more distraction. Like, for example, the comedian George Carlin says, it's gotten worse over the years. You know, sometime in the last few decades, toilet paper became bathroom tissue. Used cars became pre-owned cars. Sneakers became running shoes. And constipation became occasional regularity. The poor used to live in the slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. See how you can just gloss over that problem? And they're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're broke. People used to die. Now they expire or pass away. Or the hospital will call it negative patient care outcome. Wow. In World War I, when a soldier's nervous system was completely stretched and worn out, they called that simple condition shell shock. In World War II, that same condition became battle fatigue. Doesn't hurt as much. That's a euphemism, an easier way to gloss over the pain in reality. Then only 5 years later, the same condition was called operational exhaustion. We're up to 8 syllables now, and now the very same condition during the Vietnam War was called, can anyone guess? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen, but the pain is completely covered with jargon. Had they been calling it shell shock, maybe some of the Vietnam veterans would have received better medical care and attention when they got out of the war. So today we have many diplomats. You know, the person who can tell you to go straight to hell to a point where you actually look forward to the trip. You know those people. Distraction, not being real, takes us further away from who we are and how we feel inside. Think about it. When we get sick or have a headache, our first impulse is to see a doctor right away or pop a pill. If we tune into our body, it'd tell you that those 6 C's candies may have caused your headache. If we tune into the heart, it might tell you what job to pursue or who you should marry. Why should mothers breastfeed when doctors at the first sign of a problem recommend baby formula? Why should we look within to see what caused our headache when we can just take a pill? The TV generation is literally snap, crackle, and pop their worries away. Insight, courage, and strength come when we look both inside and outside. But when we only look outside, it's like we're only using half our brain. When we get clear on who we are, where we're going, and why we're going there, nobody can tell you what is best for you. Nobody can tell you what career you should pursue. I mean, I'm a counselor, and I shouldn't do that. I can guide people to see what's best for them, but nobody can do that. Nobody can tell you who you should marry, or what food to eat, or how you should parent your kids. Nobody knows that better than you. Not the doctor, not the therapist, not the parent. Happiness and life answers occur when we spend time inside. That's why I stay home. I don't go out much. But seriously though, as a counselor, I see thousands who don't know who they are. They don't spend much time looking within. They don't know where they're going or how to change their behavior or their habits to bring success into their lives. Well, do you ever ask yourself, why do I stress myself out so much? Why am I so critical of myself and others? Do you ever ask yourself, why do I end up with the wrong person all the time? Why am I afraid to speak up? Do you ever ask yourself, why do I procrastinate? Or haven't you gotten around to doing that yet? Do you ever ask yourself, why am I so fearful and afraid to take risks? And why am I so indecisive? And why do I sabotage my success? Or you may ask yourself, why do I get addicted to things so easily? Well, some years ago I asked myself these questions too. But now I have the wife and children of my dreams. I love the work that I do. I have great health, and I have a spiritual connection that gives me more insights than I know what to do with. And I love my life. Yet just 10, 15 years ago, I was an average student, had an undecided life plan. I had headaches almost every day, average self-esteem with no connection to a divine being. Why the change for the better? Well, I took risks. I chose an optimistic attitude that life would get better, and I started to look inside myself and put time into my own personal growth, and things started changing for the better. And if things hadn't changed, I wouldn't be talking to you today about self-empowerment. What I would be saying to you is, hey, do you want any fries to go with that? No offense to anybody, but that would not have been right for me. I would have never guessed that a few years back I would write a book that sells at multiple bookstores, that I would write and compose and produce a CD of my own music, have 2 master's degrees, and produce an educational television program series that thousands will see. But thinking big and taking risks by putting my ideas out there allowed it to happen. So far, I've talked about the value of looking within for our life answers and what prevents us from doing so. I will now discuss why we should strive to change things for the better while accepting ourselves as we are. I will also discuss what prevents people from changing for the better and how we can change our mind, thoughts, and behavior so that we can reach for that empowered self that's within all of us. Why should we change? Well, when you consider that research says that 50% of students are in the wrong major and 50% of people are with the wrong person in marriage, we don't always make the best decisions for ourselves. It's hard to make inner change, even if we have tons of desire to do so. The research shows that 98% of people cheat on their diets. 70% of books bought aren't even read, and 95% of New Year's resolutions are broken, not within 2 weeks, 48 hours. Many have very little willpower for change. It's hard, for goodness sake. Barbara DeAngelis asked 4 questions in her book, Are You the One for Me? 1, do you want a child with this person? 2, do you want a child just like this person? 3, do you want to be more like this person? And 4, if they never change from the way they are today, would you be willing to spend the rest of your life with this person? Because most people don't change. Even when we want to change, we can succeed for a while, and then for some strange reason we sabotage our success. It's like having our right foot on the gas pedal advancing in our life, not realizing that the left foot is on the brake. Do you sabotage your success? Do you choose people who are non-committal in relationships? Or do you get sick before the big day? Do you procrastinate and miss important deadlines? Or do you not respond to opportunities around you? That is why it's so important to look within for your life answers. So desire isn't enough. We also need knowledge of self. For example, imagine buying a $1,000 computer system. You bring it home, plop it on the desk, and start to use it. The manual is sitting right next to it, and you figure, the heck with the manual, and you continue to get about 10% out of your computer. Well, experts say that we're lucky to get 10% out of our brains, but most people don't take the time to read the manual to their own minds, why they think and behave the way they do, why they ought to be, achieve, create, think, and act. This class addresses that mind manual. I've mentioned why we should change. Now let me discuss why we don't change. What we need is belief in ourselves and support from others, but we get programmed and we're taught the opposite way. Think about it. Do we get positive messages from society? We're bombarded with advertisements that tell us we're in some way flawed until we buy their product. After viewing ads and seeing the movie stars, the sports figures, the rock and rollers, we start adopting this philosophy of, if I just had more fame, more money, more material possessions, then I'd be happy. And you know, works for me for a while. You know, you're miserable with your life, and you go and get a brand new car, and you get the sports car, but the next morning you're still miserable, but with a really great car, big deal. It's hard to hear your heart with media chattering and nonstop distraction. TV dominates and smothers us in an electronic blanket. It's a plug-in drug with no communication with others. When you watch too much TV, study shows that on an average, it's on 7 hours in the average household. It does empower you to be a couch potato and makes intelligent minds idle as opposed to setting goals, connecting with others, and enjoying the pleasures of life. Studies show that TV encourages ethnic stereotyping, diminishes creativity and problem solving, and increases aggressiveness. We're paying a big price for Joe Millionaire programs. Think of famous people who have adopted this philosophy of, if I only made it big, but ignored their inner growth. People like Elvis Presley, Mike Tyson, River Phoenix, Tonya Harding, Kurt Cobain, Chris Farley, O.J. Simpson, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, it goes on and on. These people learned how to communicate masterfully to their outside world, but ignored their inner world. They didn't communicate with themselves. And in the meantime of getting famous, they got lost in who they were and what mattered. They gave more power to others' approval instead of approval to themselves. And most of these people get married several times because of failed relationships. 9 out of 10 therapists agree that most relationships suffer because of what people deny or avoid. What we can't or won't talk about, that's what screws us up. If we can't talk about it, we can't fix it, period. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So many people who do not look within end up being depressed, empty, and lack meaning in life. You will surely be examining your life in this course for the purpose of living more fully. I'll see you next time, and remember to always reach for that empowered self.